So, hello everyone.
What's up?
Um, Today we're going to be doing our review for Star Wars: The Last
What's
Jedi. Um, so do you want to do non-spoiler for a bit and then go into spoiler?
Sure.
Okay. So, just what did you think of the movie? Like, what would you give it out of 5?
3 out of 5. I still not the best Star Wars movie. I still think that Empire Strikes Back is the best Star Wars movie, but I really liked it, so I would give it 3 out of 5.
I liked it better than the prequels. I did not like it better than anything else. I would give it about 3.5 out of 5. Yeah, somewhere in that area. And I mean, besides the whole okay, can't say that now, but because it's a spoiler. So I think that the without giving too much away, I think the characters are too ripped down from where they were
Right.
in the last movie. Also, they're very depowered, specifically Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that this should no longer be called the Skywalker Saga. This should be called the R2D2 and 3CBO Saga, because they've
Exactly.
been in every single movie, including Rogue One.
And
Um,
this one as well.
and there's no Skywalkers in Rogue One, and they're gonna probably be on Solo. Watch, 3CPO is gonna be on Solo, and Han Solo is gonna, and like, I'm also not happy about Solo and the fact that it's getting made, um, because even if that poster was from, and how you're saying the poster was a fake, it
Yeah,
was
someone said on
actually
my Instagram it was fake.
it's actually from the previous directors before they switched. But everything, they can't change much about the poster, so even if it isn't official, it's kind of like it's kind of like true, just not their official poster.
Right.
So it's what the characters are gonna look like and stuff. And they said they might have. They
Oh
said they
yeah.
changed the Millennium Falcon a bit, so it's not gonna have that blue, which I liked. That was the two good parts of the poster were that and Chewbacca.
Chewie looks kind of weird. Lando Calrissian looks really weird. So
His
does Han
hair,
Solo.
his hair
Yeah,
though.
like it's there's a line right here and then goes
Yeah.
one and goes another. It looks really weird.
I also don't like the way Han looks.
Oh yeah, Han Solo looks really bad.
But I feel like it's gonna push people. I mean, it's gonna make money. We know it's gonna
Yeah.
make money.
Could have made a lot more money if it was Harrison Ford. If he just signed up for one more
But
movie,
they
which
wouldn't be able to
was
do that because no. But why? Because he's too old now, and if they CGI'd him the entire time, it would bomb. Like, but why? My question is, why do they go back to these characters? I mean, sure, Han Solo is one of the most iconic Star Wars characters, but like, why don't they do someone new? Like Grand Admiral Thrawn. He's such a good character, yet they don't talk about him. They don't like they could do a whole movie about him and they could focus it on the Empire's point of view and I would go watch it multiple times. Um, but they decided to do Han Solo because they need to keep doing whatever Star Wars does.
I hope
So
this one's not as bad as the previous Star Wars spin-off Rogue One. I didn't like that. That's just the
yeah,
one thing I hope for.
I liked Rogue One to a sense. Like I liked the fact that it was a much more down to earth kind of
I didn't
like
like it.
action movie. Because I think we both this is talking about Star Wars. So let's get into the spoiler stuff.
So
So there's spoiler
Skywalker,
warning, just like putting it out there. Um,
Skywalker is done.
yep, he's dead. So now that we know he's dead, and Leia isn't dead, how do you think they're gonna handle Leia? I think we talked about this a bit before, but
Yeah, the actress is dead now. So
Carrie Fisher has died. Yes.
yeah,
How do you think they should go forward with Leia? Should they kill her off screen?
kill her off screen. I think that's the best solution.
But I personally think that killing her off screen would enrage so many fans. It's not even funny. I would be mad if they. I think what they did or planning is, they have scenes of her dying, but it didn't fit with the way they wanted to go with this movie. So they're gonna say they're gonna start it off with her funeral, and they're gonna flash back to how she died, which would be somewhere in between the two episodes, since they said they're not gonna start the next episode right after this episode. And I think that would be a good way to do it. Then they don't have to CGI her. I think CGI is a mistake. I think she should have just died. when she was flying out
Still,
in space, she
that's
should have
it.
died. She shouldn't have force powered back, or Mary Poppins back, as people are calling it.
Just kill her off and that's it. It's that simple.
And I mean, do you think she needed to float back using the force?
No.
I think that was unnecessary. I think even if she did do that, I think she should have just died in that like thing. They should have just by the end they should have been like, "Oh no, Leia, like she wasn't able to survive." And they kept her in that pod thing the entire time when she forced back. They're like, "Oh, well, she died."
And then right at the end, she came out of the pod.
Yeah. And I think that was a mistake. And I think they should have just said and I don't like the fact that rebels are suicide bombers now.
Oh, that was stupid.
I mean, at the beginning, all like that girl, sure her sacrifice was good, but every single pilot thing, they all blew up, and they were like, "Oh, we're just gonna blow ourselves up. We're not gonna try to escape. It's okay if they get away. No, we're gonna blow ourselves up." And then
Just
Finn
blow
tries to
yourself
kill
up, that's it.
himself to stop the cannon, and Holdo pilots the ship into the thing. And that was that. I didn't like that scene. I liked the scene where she piloted through in hyperspace, like
Yes.
where they cut out all the volume, but I didn't
Yeah.
like how that led up because she was like, "Oh, someone needs to stay here and pilot this ship." No, no one needs to pilot. What did she do? She stood there and she was like, "Goodbye, rebels," and she was just standing there. So what if she was just there? It was just a coincidence that she then needed to destroy the destroyer. It was like I feel like, oh, someone needs to stay here to pilot the ship, or that pilot guy. When they were taking down the medical ship, he was like, "Oh, all my crew's been over. Goodbye." These pilots the ship, just let the ship die. It's gonna die anyways. Why do you need to be in there? And we didn't feel
You were to save
bad.
it.
Well, they couldn't save it because they blew it up. He was like, "Oh, goodbye. All my crew's off. I'm gonna keep piloting it." Just get off. It's dead anyways. What, you think that they're gonna be like, "Oh, let's focus our fire on this guy with just one pilot"? No, they'll blow it up anyways because it's easy. And also, another big plot, and I think these are nitpicks before we go into the characters and stuff. Um, honestly, the whole the reason they couldn't destroy it right away is because apparently they're too far. They're out of range.
From
They
what?
couldn't. They, because remember when the Star Destroyer, like the reason that they had to keep shooting at the shield was because they're out of range. They couldn't attack them and destroy them.
Oh, yeah, right.
How are they out of range?
I don't know. Maybe there's like a they need to lock a target or something like that.
But they couldn't they have just hyperspaced behind them and just gone there? Did they really need to like say, "Oh, we're just gonna keep shooting them. We're gonna give them time to plan their escape," though, because this ship couldn't hyperspace anymore. Couldn't jump through hyperspace.
No.
And another problem, like kind of leading into it, and I think this is something that, besides the whole Snoke and Rey thing, which I'll talk about later, was the fact that, oh, and the Luke thing we'll talk about later. I was looking at my notes and it's like, oh wait, yeah, there's that. Is the whole Rose and Finn.
I hated Rose.
I hated Finn and Rose. And
Yeah.
before anyone gets this wrong idea, because I feel like someone's gonna think this, no, not because they're characters of color and like they're not white. No, I assure you, that's not the reason I hate them. I hate them because
They were just like Rose was very useless. Like she didn't make any changes in the movie. They just went to like extremely useless places. They went to some place that looks like Las Vegas, like Las Vegas.
I think my problem is there was no story in this movie
There's none.
because half the movie, actually probably more than half the movie, was Rose and Finn doing useless stuff, which ended up I guarantee you the only reason they ended up doing that was because Benicio del Toro's character, DJ, who I hated, although was not my least favorite character. That was the droids. But Benicio del Toro's character, they needed to meet somehow. I mean, if they just went the smuggler route, but at least if they made it like, oh, Holdo was wrong the entire time, and that was actually useful, and they actually ended up getting the Codebreaker, actually finishing that mission, not getting caught, because they needed a way to get them to Phasma, who is again, and Captain Phasma is actually not at the end of my list of least favorite characters.
Right.
And of course, who could not like the wonderful Poe and Hux, aka Apocalypse and Hux.
Poe was sick. I like Poe.
I'm assuming you don't like him as Apocalypse, though. No, Apocalypse was bad.
No, Apocalypse was good. The movie focused a bit too much on him.
And that's something they did in this movie, too.
Right.
They dragged it out.
Right.
Huh. And, I mean, the fact that there are people who are comparing this to Batman vs. Superman is problematic for Disney. Because Solo already isn't getting a lot of love.
Right.
And if with this, I mean, it's going to make $1 billion. We know this.
It has already hit like $100 million. It has already hit like $100 million on the opening weekend.
Yeah, no, not on opening weekend. It made $100 million on the Thursday before it came out. Like the Thursday, the day before it came out, which is when I went to see it the first time, and when I hated it. And I mean, honestly, if you told me what do you think of the movie when you first saw it, I would have my rating would have probably been like a 1 star.
No.
I think it got so much better when you see it a second time, because I think you need to see it a second time.
And it's understanding. You get the Raven, a few things you missed. You get the Raven, a few things you missed.
Yeah, and I think I enjoyed it more the second time. Also, I think Holdo and her whole plot, I think it made more sense when you knew she was being good, even if she could. Just by telling Poe the plan, she could have stopped half the movie. But no, they needed to drag their runtime out. Now, who's your favorite character?
Favorite character was probably. I like Poe because he was the one that he was the one when Kylo Ren. At the end when was just trying to kill everyone. Everybody was just trying to kill everyone. He came up with some really smart things that can help him survive. He came up with some really smart things that can help him survive of that big rebel just attacking them like AT-ATs, rebels just attacking them like AT-ATs and just charging straight at them and just. Was like charging straight at them. He was the main leader of that place, and all those things that he did actually led, and all those things that he did actually led everybody to success.
Yeah, and I completely agree. And I think that my second favorite moment, because I just realized a moment that was better. My second favorite moment was that first scene when Poe and Hux were talking. We're kind of talking. Holding for General Hux. Hux here. Holding for General Hux. I can't wait all day. And I just love that first interaction.
Yeah.
It's probably my second favorite scene. And then, of course, there's the scene of
I love that.
Yoda.
My favorite Star Wars character just coming right in. Star Wars character just coming right in.
I think Yoda, if my list is still accurate enough,
Yoda's my first favorite. I love Yoda. Yoda's my first favorite. I love Yoda.
No, in this movie specifically, obviously. And they made him puppet. They didn't do CGI Yoda again from the prequels.
Right.
I was so happy. I was like, oh no.
He looked very real.
Because I had a theory Yoda was gonna come back. Like I was like, oh, they're gonna. I thought it was gonna be Yoda, or Obi-Wan, or Anakin. I thought it was gonna probably be one of those three because they're the main three, and the they weren't going to come back were low. And I mean, Luke's coming back, guaranteed. No. Maybe not physically.
No.
But I can't believe he died.
Just his body disappeared.
Little baby.
His body came off disappeared.
That's just how he died.
I was expecting a more climatic death. I was expecting a more climatic death.
I wanted him.
Yeah, just Kylo Ren just puts his lightsaber up and Kylo Ren just puts his lightsaber up in his chest and then gone. He's gone. Up in his chest and then gone. Poof, he's gone.
Now I'm gonna make another X-Men comparison. Now, what did you think of? Where is it? Oh yes, the Rey and Kylo Ren.
That was kind of stupid because in the Force Awakens they actually just absolutely hated the last movie they just hated themselves. What the hell? Now they're together. The last movie they just hated themselves. Now they're weird. I don't get that. Now they're together. This is very, very weird. I don't get this.
one's good, one's bad, and we know this. They kind of work.
Right.
My favorite fight, and the lack of lightsaber fights.
Right.
Like
They
was
would take
the closest
like
thing to an
Snoke's
actual lightsaber
guards
fight
there.
was
They would take
Rey.
like Snoke's guards there.
That was my favorite lightsaber scene.
Right.
But my closest thing to a lightsaber on lightsaber combat was with Rey and Luke with sticks.
Yeah,
That was the closest thing. Remember when they were like fighting with sticks?
Yeah.
That was the closest thing. Luke did not pull out his lightsaber once.
Right.
Even in that projection, it was him holding Anakin's blue one.
Right.
That was destroyed. And watch, they're gonna start this next movie, having to free Poe from ice, and Rey's gonna come in. She's gonna have her own lightsaber, and Rose is gonna be a bounty hunter.
Oh, what?
Or Finn's
It's
gonna
like
be
The
a
Force
bounty.
Awakens, where he
Finn's gonna be a
started off by
clone
seeing
trooper.
him as a
Yeah.
stormtrooper. Oh, what?
And
It's like The Force Awakens, where he started off by seeing him as a stormtrooper.
yeah, and also it's kind of like
Right.
Return of the Jedi, where right, like, because
Right.
at this point, Luke and Rey at
Yeah.
this time in both their movies have lost their lightsaber.
Yeah.
So which means they're gonna come back.
Why?
Watch, Rey's lightsaber is gonna be pink. Do you know why?
Why?
Because it's the most like stupid lightsaber color I could think of right now, and it's gonna just because they can, and it's gonna be. Also, I realized something in The Force Awakens. They ruined Star Wars by showing blood.
Oh yeah, Finn's helmet there
because
was
on Finn's helmet.
blood when they attacked that village there. Yeah. Oh yeah, Finn's helmet there was blood when they attacked that village there.
Yeah. So they just
No
ruined,
blood.
they just got rid of the one rule of Star Wars, which is no blood.
No blood. And
They stab and they do it in such a small way that
Right.
they manage to break it. It's kind of like in Batman v Superman when Batman was using guns.
Right.
Even though Batman's not supposed to use guns ever.
Right.
So
Looks like Anthony
Snoke's
Davis.
eyebrows. Let's talk about Snoke's eyebrows.
Looks like Anthony Davis.
Well, Snoke's eyebrows were very distracting. When the
Right.
second time when I went, and this is something I added on after I went to watch it the second time. I was like, I was noticing Snoke's eyebrows.
His face was
they were
really distracting. Like there's a
distracting.
baby
They're
dent.
very big,
It was-
bushy white eyebrows.
His face was really distracting. Like there's a baby dent. It was,
Yeah, but I found that like
Yeah.
okay. But I feel like his eyebrows are very distracting.
yeah. Please.
Also, Snoke is an idiot.
Right.
Can we just come out with this?
Please.
If he's dead, he's an idiot.
Right.
If he's still alive, which I think, like, theories have already sparked up again. Snoke's alive. He's not really dead. Don't worry. He isn't really. Like, I was watching this theory where apparently like Snoke was using a force projection like Luke did,
Right.
except he's more powerful than Luke, so he's able to actually like hold it for longer. That's why you didn't see him like move around a lot. He wanted to see if Kylo Ren would betray him. Personally, I think, and we'll be able to confirm this if Andy Serkis comes back
Is that happening?
and is cast back in Episode 9. Until then,
Happening?
Snoke is dead. Well, they have to finish it
Maybe.
off, right?
Right.
But it's J.J. Abrams, so who knows? Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad.
Maybe
Oh, yeah.
never.
And I like how Finn talks about being a janitor, yet we don't never see him as a janitor.
Yeah, never.
Because remember, like, even again in this, he was like, oh, yeah, I helped mop it.
Yeah.
But we saw him as a clone trooper. We have never seen him as a janitor.
I don't know.
Why didn't they?
I didn't
why
direct
they
it, so
show
I
us
don't
him
know.
As a janitor. Why is a clone trooper?
I don't know. So
I
Skywalker
didn't
said he
direct
was
it,
gonna
so I don't
train
know.
Rey. There was almost nothing of
Like,
him
that
just
doesn't
like
make any sense
training
to me.
her.
Um,
To me, Skywalker said he was gonna train Rey. There was almost nothing of him just like training her. To be
I wanted a Rocky
Right.
montage where there was like, where they would actually go like a montage of
What's up
training.
tomorrow?
in a
What's up?
sense. Because he was like, I'm gonna teach you 3 lessons.
What's
First
up
lesson,
tomorrow? What's up?
Jedi are evil. Second lesson, you're too powerful. You're going to the dark side. Third lesson, oh my God, you're talking to Kylo Ren. Get
Exactly.
out of here. You're trying to talk to Kylo Ren. I need to do everything.
Exactly.
So, yeah. And I feel like Luke was a Yoda Obi-Wan hybrid, but a very bad one. Like, I feel like if they were to create a Yoda Obi-Wan hybrid character who was just like the
Yeah, you can
complete
agree with that.
ripoff, you would get Luke in this movie.
Yeah, you can agree with that.
Because I feel like everything that they did right, and I have to say they did things right. Hux was a very interesting character. I liked Hux when Kylo was on the ground. He kind of pulled out his gun. He was like, "Should I shoot him?" Then Kylo starts like moving, and he's like, "Oh, never mind. Like I'm just gonna put that gun away now, so I don't die." I think that we didn't see any of the Knights of Ren, which was a disappointment. But the one thing about that, which I was fine with, was you wouldn't notice you were
Right.
missing them until you actually went back and you're like, huh, oh yeah, they aren't there,
Right.
right? It's like not something that it's like a big plot point. I mean,
That was
because
kind
Luke
of
kind of references them, and I don't like how they reference the original trilogy
that was kind
because
of
Luke's like, oh, in the height of their power, they managed to completely take down they managed to completely take
right.
down these like Palpatine manages to deceive them and stuff like that.
Right.
And I feel like I thought what Kylo Ren said when he said "kill it" or okay, I'm trying to remember the line now. Hold on a sec. Kylo Ren kill it line. I feel like it's like a really obvious. Oh, and my favorite Yoda
The
quote
Jedi
ever
books.
is in this movie. Read them, have you? Page turners, they were not.
Yeah, the Jedi books.
Yeah. Well, or sorry, not Leia. Rey has them.
Yeah.
Because apparently. I can't find this
Right.
quote. It's like, forget the past, burn it if you have to.
Right.
And I think that, like, they talk about that, and then
Please.
they're like, and then in the prequels, just follow Kylo Ren's advice for once.
Please.
Please, just forget about the prequels. They never happened. If you do Old Republic, I will be on board 100%. If not, just stop. Keep Star Wars
Yeah.
good. You're gonna probably, I mean, this movie's probably more hated than the prequels.
Yeah.
And actually, yesterday I was at dinner with my family, and on on the table behind us, I heard people talking about Star Wars, and so I was kind of just like listening because they said Skywalker, so I was like, "Ooh, what are they talking about?" And I heard, that was actually the time when I heard people like actually talk about Star Wars in a negative light. I mean, I know there are a lot of people like who I know saw it and didn't really like it. Like, they were like, okay, it's fine. I guess it's a movie. And I know, but this was the first time I heard people saying like they ruined Star Wars, which I completely agree with. And trust me, like my room is Star Wars.
My
If you
room
walk
is
into my room and you don't
posters
know
of
that I
just
like
like
Star Wars, then you're not
action
looking at my
movies and
wall,
just you
my
got
bed,
Avenger, just
or
one Avenger.
I just want to quickly. I actually do want to end this talking a bit about Infinity War, but I wanted to just point out a few other things in Star Wars just to kind of finish it off,
Right.
and then we can just kind of talk a bit about Infinity War because there's a few things I want to talk about in terms of that. And I haven't actually gone around to making a video on Infinity War, like based on what we've seen so far and what I want. I'll probably make it closer to the release. So humor, I think, should stay out of it. This is not Spaceballs. This is Star Wars.
There are a
It may
few
sound similar,
Star Wars
and maybe we'll
in
see
this
in
movie.
space. Humor stays out of Star Wars. Star
Yeah.
Wars is supposed to be a bit like, don't keep it all serious.
There are a few
But don't make it.
Star Wars in this movie.
I think there were too many.
Yeah.
I think Luke was too much like.
They should have been Luke
I'm an old
Skywalker like
angry man.
Logan, like
Oh,
he's
but I
an
can
old
make
man and
jokes
he wants to
still.
die already.
And like, choose one. Is he angry and old,
Yeah.
or is he funny?
But they should have been Luke Skywalker like Logan, like he's an old man and he wants to die already.
Well, that's kind of what they did.
Yeah.
But except.
Right. But less jokes.
He was, yeah, exactly. And I think they have to kind of keep it kid friendly because that's what Star Wars is supposed to be.
Right.
And I think that it's Ryan Johnson. I was thinking Ron Howard was like, oh no, he's Han Solo. They have the same names, it's like basically. So planets and world building is something else I wanted to talk about. So they did a world building movie in a sense.
Right.
They showed a lot of planets. I liked the the visual effects in terms of planets. Canto
Yeah, that
Bight,
was
the
that
casino
was
planet,
it
that's a
looked
Bilbao
really
Face
nice.
type
Like the
planet. I remember
design, the
thinking that.
luxury, all of it.
I liked the way it looked.
Yeah, that was it looked really nice. And like the design, the luxury, all of it. Benicio del Toro.
Yeah, and I mean, I liked. I didn't like Benicio del Toro's stutter. Just because it's a kids movie doesn't mean he needs to stutter.
I like
Um,
Benicio del Toro.
yeah, I like him. I don't. I don't know how much I liked him in this movie though.
Spinoffs. Give a
And
few characters some spinoffs.
going
Get the
forward,
get the
what do you
fans to
think they should
understand
do
some of their
going
origin
forward
stories,
to
and then
fix
that's it.
this? What do you think J.J. Abrams should do to fix this?
Spinoffs. Give a few characters some spinoffs. And get the fans to understand some of their origin stories, and then that's it.
Yeah, I agree. Uh,
That's what,
for and then what do you think that
more
since
Ray.
Rian
There's barely
Johnson,
any Ray in this
as of now,
movie.
is still directing the next
Um,
trilogy?
Add
What
in
would you tell
possibly a
him
few more characters that we haven't seen
what he
yet,
needs to fix?
and just
More
make
Ray.
it. There is barely any Ray in
Daddy,
this
give me a
movie.
minute.
ending more
More dramatic. Add in
and
possibly a
that's it.
few more characters that we haven't seen yet, and just make it make the ending more dramatic, and that's it.
And do you think that overall, like they should where
Yeah,
should they focus?
That would be
Because he
nice.
said it's not going to
to
connect
bring-
to Skywalker's. I think it's be its own thing. I think I want them to do Old Republic
Yeah,
or
that
some.
would be nice. Don't do
What I
Empire.
want
That's it.
them to not do is don't do the Empire. Nothing to do with the Empire.
Don't do Empire. That's it.
And I think they've got George Lucas. He's
Yeah.
don't ruin it. And don't touch the prequels again. Go before the prequels, go after these new episodes.
Exactly.
And, I think the reason Old Republic will be good is because you can talk about the unknown regions. Or even just do a Snoke origin trilogy.
Exactly.
That would be, and just don't mention any of these planets that you've mentioned before. Make these all new planets. Like, the last planets we saw in The Force Awakens were pretty much rip-offs of the original trilogy planets. These planets, I have to give it to Rian Johnson. These were new planets. Right?
Yeah.
So I think, unless you have anything else to say about The Last Jedi, I think we can talk a bit about Infinity War.
I just have to say all about The Last Jedi. Like, you made this movie good, but you could have improved upon it by by a bunch of ways. And there's so much to list that
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, there were good things and bad things, and it's like all movies. I think I didn't personally love the movie. I won't
Same.
say probably top 10 of 2017. It's probably in the top 20, maybe of 2017, at 20.
Right.
But overall, I think it was a pretty good movie. I think we covered basically all the characters.
Right.
So let's talk a bit about Infinity War, because
Well,
and Black
Movie
Panther.
2018.
Now the
Two days.
question:
2018.
when's 12 Strong coming out?
January 19th.
Ooh, it's going up against Paddington 2.
Yeah.
I don't
And
know if
then-
it'll win.
I'm gonna watch it in IMAX. Matter of fact.
Oh, that sounds like. So it's going. Do you think it's gonna win? I think everyone's gonna go see Paddington. I don't think anyone's gonna go see it.
12 Strong is gonna be Paddington easily. 12 Strong.
I know.
12 Strong is going to be a very big, powerful movie that just resembles that. Not only people who regularly work at the army, but also people who volunteer to fight also matter, and
Yeah.
how they can contribute to the military of the U.S.
But
Or military.
Paddington is about a bear who's absolutely nonsensical. So,
Oh,
Paddington has a chance. I mean, how many people now like nonsense in their movies?
right.
Clearly. So Infinity War. Overall, I think Infinity War is going to be a very exciting movie, in my opinion. And it does have to make 1.5 billion to break even.
Mm-hmm. I think it's gonna break more than the other Avengers movies box office. The first Avengers movie I think got $1.2 billion in the box office. Avengers: Age of Ultron. I don't know, but I think Infinity War is gonna get like 2 billion because of how highly anticipated it is.
Just 2 billion.
Probably.
My hope, at least, is, and I'm just gonna go to Box Office Mojo and take a look, and then we're gonna talk. I think so. The Avengers made. Okay, let's see if I can do numbers. It made under 1 billion. It made. Wait, it just needs to reload quickly. It made. Hold on. Oh, okay, this means 623 million.
The first Avengers movie.
Yeah. And I think that this is good. It's the highest MCU movie. So, it's good.
How much is Spider-Man making the box office?
Homecoming?
Yeah. I think it made like 800 million.
Hold on. 334,000. Or not million.
Yeah.
So, then Avengers: Age of Ultron made 459 million.
Right.
So I think
Infinity War is gonna get 1 billion. That's what I believe.
I think it has a chance to be the #1 most grossed movie ever. Now the thing is, and I think this is something that people don't really take into account, like, oh, Infinity War will be amazing. I don't know. I think everyone's like underhyping them or overhyping the movie, and it's gonna have a Star Wars problem.
Yeah.
Because look, everyone's coming out like, and I don't know if you've heard about this, but in Iron Man 3, there was like, before Iron Man 3 came out, there's a rumor Iron Man was gonna fly up into space at the end and meet the Guardians.
Yeah.
Then in Civil War, people were like, oh, there's this whole theory that came out about Vision flying up in space at the end to see the Guardians.
It's Thor. That's what the Guardians of the Galaxy as it was shown.
Yeah, but they didn't know that, and so they're hyping up this theory that wasn't true, obviously. And I think they could, and I mean, I didn't really hear about this until I was like, huh, were there any theories like this? And I kind of looked into it. But I think if they overhype this could have a Star Wars problem, because I think Star Wars was overhyped. So, yeah, overall, I think this could be an overhyped type movie.
Right.
And I think Avengers 4, though, could have a bigger, in a sense, I think it's hard now to tell whether Avengers 3 or 4, because they're two different movies. They're going to have two different box office numbers. Now the question is, where are they going to, where are they going to open in comparison to each other? Because the odds that, people probably will go see both of them. Like, I'm going to see both of them. You're going to see both of them.
Yeah.
Anyone with a brain is going to see both of them. So I'm not sure where they're going to kind of fall, in a sense. And because people are like, oh, Infinity War's going to be the biggest. Yeah, well, originally Infinity War was supposed to be part 1 and part 2. Right? And even then, it was supposed to be two different movies. It's going to open differently. So, if you want to talk about we're going to talk about a bit of the weekend box office. So, the weekend of December 29th to 31st. So, we're talking about weekend box office. I'm just going to go open it. Okay, so, of course, looking at the box office, this weekend, can you take a guess what the #1 movie was?
Hold on, let me think.
Oh my god. The fact it's taking you this long to think.
Star Wars?
Yes.
Oh. Something else.
So this weekend, Star Wars made 52 million, which is down 26.7% from last weekend. Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle, being #2, which I'm surprised about, is 50 million.
That's
Up
not bad.
38.9% from last week though. Pitch Perfect 3, which is number 3, is at 17 million, down 10.8% from last weekend. The Greatest Showman at number 4 is 15 million, up 73.4% from last weekend. I think the reason that this number is like how much it made is because it also opened this weekend in 310 more theaters than it did originally. Ferdinand, whatever you want to call it, is at 11 million, 59.2%, but it's being kicked out of 293 theaters. So the fact that it's still going up means it's like a surprise. Then, of course, at 6 is Coco. Could you have guessed this? I'm surprised Coco's still on the leaderboard, though, for, like, top 10, right?
Yeah.
So that's with, it made 6 million this weekend, which is quite a bit of money. It's up 22.1 from last weekend. All the Money in the World at number 7, 5 million.
I want to see that. I don't.
Yeah, I'm debating because I don't know whether I'm going to see it or not. A movie I'm going to see is surprisingly low, especially with the fact that I think it's an Oscar bait movie, though, not a box office movie, so, you know. And then the movie I want to see is actually at 23, which is The Post.
Oh, with Meryl Streep and Tom Hanks.
Yeah, mostly because it's directed by Steven Spielberg, but, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to kind of see if... So, Darkest Hour is 8th.
I have to go see Darkest Hour.
I want to see it. I think the trailer looked really good, especially for, like, the type of movie it is. 9th is Downsizing. 10th is Father Figures. 11th is Shape of Water. 12th is Wonder. 13th is Molly's Game. 14th is Lady Bird. 15th is Justice League. Only making 1 million this weekend.
Wow.
Only. And then one below it at 16th is another comic book movie. Can you guess the name?
Thor.
Yep. Which made 1 million exactly. So made a bit more or a bit less than Justice League, which made 285,000 more than Thor Ragnarok.
Right.
Yeah. And so I like going through all of these, like getting. So I just wanted to go over those few movies that I think. So what movies do you think are going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 next week? So I think 1, Star Wars.
Yeah, Star Wars would be first. I think probably, I think Hostiles is gonna go up by a lot.
It's such a small movie. I don't know. I want to see it though.
I think Hostiles will go up.
It's 31 right now. I don't think it's going to go to like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
I think that I think pretty much. Is there any movies opening this weekend that are big, or that could be big, or like next weekend, not this weekend because it's Monday. I think Jumanji will stay 2, but I think Pitch Perfect 3 will drop. Are there any movies opening this week that are big, or no?
There's a Phantom Thread. Oh, I know that. I want to go see. Yeah.
Well, apparently that's really bad, like worse than like anything. And it's been out for just this week, and it's only made 220,000.
90% on the RT scale. IMDb gave it 8 out of 10.
What
The
did
Guardian gave it 5 out of 5.
well, it only made 220,000, which is tiny, especially for the first week it's opened. I think it's also because it only opened in 4 theaters, but you know. But apparently, I've heard some pretty bad things about it from people who've seen it.
Right.
So I think that it'll pretty much stay Star Wars, Jumanji, Pitch Perfect. I think it'd be Greatest Showman, Pitch Perfect 3, Ferdinand, and Coco. Although, do you think all the money in the world will get pushed up a bit? I think Coco actually will go down. So, I'm gonna write this down so we have for proof next weekend. If we actually end up doing this next weekend, we'll see if we actually get around to it. But I'm going to put it in the Skype chat. Hold on. Why won't my Skype open? Like this one. So, one next weekend we think is gonna. So I think it's gonna stay as Star Wars. 2, I think, is gonna be Jumanji. 3, I think, is gonna be Greatest Showman. 4, Pitch Perfect 3, Pitch Perfect 3. 5, which is gonna be Ferdinand. So what do you think your top 3 are gonna, or top, not 3, top 5 are gonna be?
Star Wars is gonna go first. Jumanji is gonna be second. I think Coco's gonna surpass the Greatest Showman, so Coco's gonna go third. I think Greatest Showman is gonna be fourth. Then Ferdinand's gonna be last.
So you think it's gonna be Star Wars, The Greatest Showman second?
No, Jumanji second. Coco third.
Coco third. You think Coco's gonna make a jump, considering it's already been out for how many weeks now?
I think it's gonna make a jump. Then I got the Greatest Showman at fourth.
Coco at third. Greatest Showman at fourth, and then fifth, Ferdinand, or Pitch Perfect 3.
Ferdinand.
Okay, so those will, if we end up, do you think we'll do this next week? Probably, maybe next week.
Probably.
Okay. So yeah, that's the end. Do you want to just quickly finish it off with the
so
stuff?
Guys, thanks for watching. Please just drop a like, subscribe, and comment. Hit the bell button so you don't miss a thing that we upload. And we got more videos like this coming out real soon.
Yep.
Very soon.
Like today, probably.
Yep.
So see you next time. Bye.
Yeah.